How's it going, everyone? DD Man Killer here. So people have been asking for the Necromancer build, so here we go. Necromancer is a very fun demon and can be built in a lot of different ways, but I try to use a build that's most optimal based on the how often I'm going to be using those abilities and units on the battlefield. We're going to see the strengths and weaknesses of this build, and I'm going to talk as much as I can about it. So let's dive right into it. So before we get into the build, I want to go over what the units are for the Necromancer. You have Evil Ash, Skeleton Elite, and the Skeleton Basic unit. So the Skeleton Basic unit has a couple abilities. A Lunging Thrust, it's a very long melee thrust for the spear. Warcry, he raises up his spear, slams it on the ground. And Dodge, you can dodge pretty much any other normal survivor. The Elite unit has a couple abilities. Trident Smash, you can charge forward for a decent distance, and you can use this ability again to smash the Trident down and do some AoE damage around you. Trident Toss, you basically pick up your Trident, toss it like a spear. It has incredibly long range. The boss, Evil Ash, has quite a few abilities. So, one, he can dodge like any survivor. He has a ability to summon up to 2 base skeletons into a fight. He has Skeleton Resurrection, where every skeleton who dies within the effect of the aura comes back to life. And this also currently works even though he's dead after you use it, if you cast it before you die. And another ability, Infernal Invigoration, where Evil Ash, you choke a survivor, and you basically lifesteal the damage being done to them. So those are his abilities. Let's get into the unique of Necromancer. So the unique is he puts down a flute guy, basically, a flautist, who buffs all units in a radius around him. So the base is a cooldown of 75 seconds and increases damage by 70 and has a damage reduction for units of 30%. As you level up the Necromancer, the skeletons increase the fear level automatically of any survivors near them by 15% every second. The motivational music is another upgrade for the Flute Man. It does an extra 20%, so instead of 70%, it does 90%, and once you max him out, skeletons increase the damage received by nearby survivors, so 10% damage received. So all in all, the Flute Guy and the uniques for Necromancer are pretty damn strong. Pretty damn strong. So let's get over to the skill tree. So first thing I recommend maxing out is the balance bar on your basics, your elites, and your boss. Balance bar is a very good hard counter to demons and a weakness to demons. So definitely max out for the elites, the basics, and the boss, 100%. I also would say put in 3 points into the basic units. Your basic units are going to be the most common unit on the field, so having an extra 30% increased health is definitely huge and making them a bit more trouble for the survivors to kill. Let's start with the second to top row. So I put a point into Trident Smash here, widens the impact area. Not an amazing thing to upgrade. If it increased damage as well, I would recommend putting points to this, but just increases the area, so don't bother with it. Put 1 point into it so I could put another point to this and reach over here. What this does is improved Infernal Invigoration, increases the amount of healing Evil Ash receives when he uses Infernal Invigoration grab. Now this is really good for 1v1s and 1v2s. Not really when you're 1v4ing with him, but when you're in a 1v1, 1v2 situation, this extra 40% healing from life stealing when you grab someone is pretty huge and can keep you alive quite a long time. So let's go down beneath it. Louder Warcry increases the Necromancer's Warcry effect area. This is his Spear Slam ability where it slams it on the ground. So basically every time one of your basic units uses ability, the radius is larger and it hits more survivors if they're not expecting such a larger radius. I think it's a pretty good thing to upgrade considering basic units are literally going to be 90% of your units on the field. So upgrading them as much as possible is important. Test of time, increase the duration of objective events for survivors while demon players inside the aura. 1 point increases it by 10%, so if they're inside the map or dagger area, it is 10% longer, basically. Come back stronger. This is one of the best ones. Resurrected skeletons have increased maximum health, come back with full health, and can deal more damage. Every time you resurrect the skeletons with Evil Ash's ability, all the units come back with 40% more health and 40% more damage. And they get revived with full health as well. So they're pretty damn strong and very scary to deal with. This is one of his best ones and a must-have to upgrade. Next one right here is Flute Force. Increases the flute range to 55 meters. So the default range is, I think, is 40 meters. So when you upgrade this, it's 55, and this can really make or break in certain situations. When you are at an objective area, sometimes you could be at a map or a dagger, and the objective is it's near like a building, for example. But because you don't have the range increase, you can't place the flute man in the building, and so the survivors can get to the flute pretty easily because you're forced to put it in a easy to find spot. Let's go up here. Expanded skeletal support increases the effect area of Evil Ash's skeleton resurrection skill. It increases the range to 15 meters, so a much larger area, and it'll pretty much cover. I think it covers the entire map or dagger area if you're fighting there. So this should cover any fight going on. Next one, heavy damage basic, increases damage dealt by basic units. Must have, considering basic units are going to be your most common unit on the field. I put 1 point into the elite and boss. 1 point increases by 10%, and I don't find it worth adding more points because one, the elites and bosses aren't going to be super common on the field as much as basics, and 1 point gives 10%, the next point gives only an extra 5%, so I don't think putting more points is worth it. So we're going to go down here, increase the amount of infernal energy received from infernal orbs. I put 1 point into that, so 10% more. Reduces the amount of infernal energy required to place a portal elite. Put 1 point to that. I only put points into this here, and infernal refill increases the speed energy generated when you're active objects. I only put these in here so I could reach this. This ability here is widespread skeleton resurrection, increases the duration of Evil Ash's skeleton resurrection skill. So the duration is increased to a max of 30 seconds, which is pretty damn long. And like I said, this ability up here, Come Back Stronger, one of his strongest. Evil Ash's resurrections skill is definitely his strongest ability, and if you have the right skill tree upgrades such as these, you can really turn the tide of a match. We go down here to the last end of the skill tree. So I put a point into Demonic Dash, increase the amount of energy gained from the Demonic Dash. Bone Rage, here's a good one. Skeletons attack more frequently, 10% more frequently. So basically, what I think this means is kind of hard to understand this one, but what I think it means, skeletons, instead of just sitting around, they get more aggressive and they attack faster. I assume that's what it means. This could be the attack speed rate, but I don't think that's what it means. I think it has to do with skeletons actually getting to combat quicker and attacking more often. A lot of times you'll notice your units will kind of just sit around and make a circle and just kind of watch as the fight's going on and occasionally go in and attack. This is also one of Evil Ash's best skill tree upgrades. Survivors cannot gain health from any source after being hit by an Evil Ash attack. So you know when you're fighting that pesky survivor and you're hitting them and they start backpedaling and dodging and they try to heal, this pretty much stops them for a whole second. They're not allowed to spend any heals for 1 second. So this definitely allows you to tunnel certain survivors down and finish them off as long as they don't break your balance bar. So the last of the skill tree is skeletal reinforcements. Increase the number of skeletons spawned when Evil Ash summons them. So with this summon ability, he can summon 2 skeletons. It's 1 basic and 1 elite, I'm pretty sure. And with this, I'm pretty sure it's 2 basics and 1 elite. I actually may be wrong. I haven't actually bothered to actually pay attention to it. I know it's 1 elite at least. So this spawns in an extra one. So when you spawn Evil Ash, I recommend popping this ability immediately. Spawn some extra units on the field. This extra unit can also be really good if you're trying to 1v1 or 1v2 a couple survivors. Just having that extra pressure helps out a lot and can lock down the kill. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you some gameplay of me using this build, and yeah, we'll see how well it worked. So in this video, right here, I'm just possessing a Scotty, and I'm just doing some damage to the barrel. I noticed the survivors start the page, so I immediately head over there to see what's going on. It's the Henry the Red and the Warrior Ash. So I head over there, I start setting some traps, mostly for the traps for the Scotty and Cheryl if they come over here by foot, and I just want to put as much pressure as possible. I go ahead and do my upgrades, do the rest of the traps, spawn some portals just for some pressure, And as soon as I finish these traps and portals, I start making my way up to this cabin up here and start trapping outside of it. This is where I'm going to place down my flutist. I want to put my flute man behind as many traps as possible, make it hard for the survivors. So I put him on the corner there where he can't be shot and behind a couple of traps. So all these units in the field are now currently getting buffed with all that damage reduction and increased damage. So I spawn an Evil Ash, I call my skeletons to the fight, I use my resurrection ability for any skeletons that have died, and I just start basically going to town on these two. The Cheryl and Scotty have joined the field, and now I start to realize that these two are doing incredible balance bar damage to me, so I'm just kind of kiting them around. I'm trying to use my grab ability here to lifesteal. It bugs out sometimes and does that back and forth thing. I managed to grab the Cheryl, and with the buff I'm receiving from the Skeleton Flutist, I take a lot of damage on her with that, and get a lot of damage healed back to me at that 40%. So I'm just basically harass them as much as I can. I'm fine with going down here, but I know I'm doing a lot of damage, and as you can see in the back there, Henry finally realizes, oh shit, they're all getting buffed. I need to stop this flutist, because that's what's literally helping me kill everyone right now. But as you saw, that trap just went off. So that trap there bought me the time to stay buffed and help kill the Warrior Ash right there. So that just shows you the power of the flutist. It is the bread and butter of the Necromancer. It is what keeps your team alive. So your main focus is to make sure your flutist is put behind cover and protected. Make it as hard as possible for the survivors to take it out. The longer you keep the flutist up, the more damage and the longer your units will stay alive, and the chances increase of you winning the match. So in this video, I just want to show you the power of not being afraid to be aggressive with the Necromancer by placing the Flute Man down near them. I'm looking for the survivors. I see him over by Fairview Campground, and I noticed Leader Ash is a little away from them. Not too far, but a little bit. So I put a couple traps down, do my best to make sure he doesn't know I'm there. Put a couple down, and I immediately spawn the Flutist and possess the basic unit on the one he attacked. Now his teammates are coming over for here, so I have about 5 seconds to do as much damage as I can. I open with a heavy, do over 300 damage. Hit with my spear lunge attack, do some more damage. And with one more hit, he goes down. And as you saw, it took about 4 to 5 hits to take him down. Only about 5 seconds, a little bit longer to kill him. So definitely do not be afraid at all to just jump on a survivor with the flute buff and try to get it down. Because yeah, you may not secure the kill, but getting that down increases your threat level and gives you points. You want to harass him as much as possible. And because you're downing him, you're making them use resources, you're wasting their time. Don't feel afraid to be aggressive. And as you can see, my cooldown is already at 25 seconds, so I proceed to continuously harass these survivors here. But don't be afraid to be aggressive, even if the survivor is just slightly, even 20 feet out of place. Take advantage of every situation you can get, because trust me, the opposite team will do that. So here's another situation of me trying to take advantage of 2 survivors split from the group. We have an Annie and a Scotty over here, while Henry the Red and Warrior Ash are on the other side of Terminal Station. So I just start putting some traps down. Currently I'm waiting for the cooldown of my Flute Man to be up. As soon as he is down, I am looking for a good spot to place him. There's a trap right here, so I put the Flute Man around a corner, trying to bait the survivor into the trap. I noticed the Annie over there. I'm trying to figure out what she's doing, and I noticed that she starts to drive away, so I immediately possess Scotty, run him into the trap, spawn the unit, possess the unit, and just start doing some light attacks on Scotty. The heavy attacks are also pretty good. They have a long range and do quite a lot of damage, so I do encourage using heavy attacks when possible. They can be kind of hard to hit when people are running away, but do recommend using them. Just like that, Scotty goes down pretty damn quickly, even before Annie barely drew. Now, this forces Annie and the rest of her team to try to come back. In this situation, I hope only Annie comes back. So I'm just sitting here waiting to see what she does. She notices Scotty is down, so she starts to drive back. So I proceed to take this time just to start trapping everything else in case more people decide to come. I notice she's coming over for the revive, taking out the flutist. Unfortunately, I don't have enough energy or any units on the field. So currently I'm just waiting for my energy to regen. Some advice I recommend: the points you want to put into a Necromancer when a game starts. You can either rush for the 3 traps, maxing out traps to get that elite unit, or you can put maybe 2 points into there if you like using the basics more, and then putting at least 3 points into the energy. The reason why you want to put 3 points in energy is so you get that constant energy trickle. And then after that, you can invest your points in possession in whichever portal you prefer on which unit you like. So basically, I am just trying to finish off the Annie here. Scotty disconnects. What I did right there is I ran straight at her, but I didn't swing immediately. This baits out survivors a lot to automatically dodge. She dodges preemptively, and I end up getting down on her. So this is another situation of take advantage of when survivors split with the flute. You can use the flute to bait survivors into a trap, or you can just straight up just possess a survivor and run him to a trap. Take advantage of the flute. The flute is incredibly strong, and the buff is insane. You will do insane damage. So take every advantage you can get. So over here, I'm just looking for the survivors, trying to figure out where they are. I have a good idea of where they can be, based on where the objectives are. Survivors usually don't spawn within a couple hundred meters of the map, the dagger, or you, so I kind of rule out the areas that they can't be, and I go to the areas they can be. I find them over here at Nobi Cabin, all 4 of them. So right now, I'm just trying to figure out who I want to attack. I notice Warrior Ash decides to go to Misery Manor by himself. Warrior Ashes tend to run off on their own because, be real, Warrior Ash, he's literally a strong unit, strong character, the strongest survivor in the games. I put my Flute Man on the bottom floor. I put 2 traps protecting him. So if any survivors try to go for him, they got to get through 2 traps. I possess the unit that gets called out there, and I just immediately start attacking Warrior Ash. And just like that, he is almost dead. I do try to kill him here, but he gets in the car and drives away. So when someone does that, just immediately unpossess. For some reason, he decides to come back. I don't know why, when he has about 5% HP. So in this situation, I wait for he decides to hop out, so I immediately just possess him and unpossess him, because when you possess someone, you deal damage when you unpossess them. The longer you possess them, the more damage they're taking when you unpossess. But I decide to run him to a trap, so he spawns the unit. He goes down, so now that forces their team to come and save him. So now I'm just gathering energy, waiting for their team to return, because I know they're going to come back for him. I want as much energy as possible to either spawn units, possess, and just retrap. So they're all coming back now. So I immediately put a point into base unit to spawn portals, and 3 into infernal energy, so I get a constant energy trickle. I spawn in some basics, and I immediately start attacking. I use my war cry to hit everyone around me. I use my spear lunge to try to get some damage done. I notice support Ash is pretty low, so I try to focus him off. I use a heavy here. Heavies can be very quick, and I use another heavy attack. The lunge on that heavy, on the second heavy in the combo, is pretty long, but I end up downing him. Now we have, who is this? This is, I can't tell with the flashlight, it's Kelly. As you saw with my spear thrust, the range on that is insanely long, and it kind of lingers if survivors walk into it. So I'm over here just being super aggressive on her. For some reason, she dodged back instead of attacking there. I end up getting the down on her, and this is without the flute buff currently. The flute actually despawned at this point. So I'm still over here winning the 1v1s. And then, unfortunately, Annie here has no melee weapons, so she's forced to use her fist, and that's not something you want to do. So I proceed to scare her to prevent her from getting the revive. I take possession of this unit here. I immediately drop, if you didn't know this, I'm going to go back to there. If you noticed, after I scared her, I immediately spawned the flutist and possessed the unit to give myself that extra damage buff and damage resist so I can kill her faster. Just like that, in a couple hits, I proceed to down her. I missed the thrust right there. That can be kind of hard to hit if survivors are on you. But I used a couple heavies earlier to hit her. And basically, she gets finished off right about here. And we still have 1 person left alive, and that is the Warrior Ash. I use the War Cry effect on him. Warrior Ash is usually the one you want to save for last most of the time if you can in a team fight, because he's the strongest by far. I use an overhead heavy to down him, and down goes the entire team. So that just shows you another example of people who split up. Don't feel afraid to take advantage of them. 1 basic unit, possessed. Unpossessed is still strong, but possessed is even stronger. Just drop the... If you want to 1v1 someone, drop the flutist just right there and immediately possess. They're not going to have enough time to take out the flutist while you're trying to attack them. But that's just the power of the Necromancer. The flute upgrade is just incredibly strong. Your units are basically unstoppable in most 1v1s. So let me know how this build works for you. Any questions, if you guys like it, leave a comment down below. Appreciate you guys for watching this. You know, like, subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.